AVNewsCastMorning.com. The #1 news talk radio program in the Antelope Valley.
Yes.
And you can take us with you wherever you go.
Yes.
Because we are on the Spreaker radio network, and you can just go to AVNewsCast.com, click the little microphone button or the headphone button, and there we are, wherever you are.
Yeah.
In your back pocket.
If I switch to Angelina, like I'm doing now, would you, Steve, hit that button we talked about?
Oh, yeah.
How are you, Angie? You feeling better?
Yeah, I feel a lot better. So much better. Thank you for asking. I was gone. It felt like I wasn't here the whole week.
You know what? When the three of us are not here, there's a chemistry.
Yeah.
There's a thing that's missing.
Yeah.
Because we've carved out a little spot.
Yeah.
A groove.
You know?
It was our groove.
You worn a groove.
Yeah, I'm sorry. But I feel 100%. I took a shot and some meds, and I mean...
Well, I'm glad you're good.
It was good.
We are going to have Lee Rodgers on the show at about 8:15.
Okay, cool.
Okay, and we're going to talk about a lot of things. But obviously, one thing that's just impacted California, Santa Barbara, and the whole nation is what happened in Isla Vista.
It was Elliot, yeah.
And immediately everybody jumps on gun control.
Well, what else are they going to jump on?
Just a moment.
Yeah.
Hold on.
Go ahead.
Okay? There were 3 people killed with a handgun, 3 people killed with a knife, and 13 people injured by his vehicle. Okay? And we're going to talk about gun control.
You're a mess.
Wait, can you let me just finish a sentence?
Go ahead.
Okay?
Go ahead.
We're going to talk about gun control, and I'm going to bring this up to Lee. Because if you remember, right after Sandy Hook, we had Lee on the show, all right? And he brought something up that resonated, and I've repeated it many times, and that was that we need to get the medical profession and mental health involved in gun control.
And that's common sense. Okay? It's common sense.
Now,
it's not a stretch. It's not taking away anybody's rights. It's ridiculous. People keep crying about how I don't want my ability to have a gun taken away because there's thugs on the street that have guns. Okay, but we're not. That's not the new stuff that we keep hearing.
Understood.
We keep hearing, kids that are crying for help, crying. This guy was obviously in a lot of pain. He was obviously in a lot of pain. He had no therapy. Clue on how to rein in his emotions.
I know. He had been in therapy. His psychiatrist, as I understand, I'm not going to say the guy's name, but I hear he is the medical director of L.A. County DCFS.
Wow.
Okay? That's his personal psychiatrist.
He's got a weight on his heart right now, this guy.
Yeah. One of the kids that was killed, Veronica Weiss, her parents heard about what was going on, and they immediately reached out to her, and she wasn't answering her phone.
Right.
So they jumped in the car, and they ran to Santa Barbara, okay? They flew up there. And when they got there, obviously, it was very difficult to get a hold of anybody, and no one could give any answers. So they utilized their Find My iPhone.
Oh.
And
That's how they found their child?
Yeah, it was at the coroner's office. That's where they found her iPhone.
Oh, my God.
Which is just terrible. Just terrible. Elliot Rodgers' parents, they ran, okay?
Yeah.
Immediately.
Yeah.
They ran to Santa Barbara as well. And one thing that I want to talk about is the fact that Santa Barbara Sheriff made a welfare call to this guy's house, okay? To Elliot Rodgers' house. I get that they don't have authority to search the house. But let me just throw this out, okay? There's different kinds of welfare checks. If I call and say, hey, can you go check on my 80-year-old, no, I better say it right, my 76-year-old mom, okay?
Yeah, you better say that right.
Yeah, can you go do that for me? That's one kind of a welfare check, okay? Another one is...
Well, this is a mental health
My 22-year-old son has gone over the deep end. I need you to go check. Normally, I think what should be done is when you go there, you need to run a check for handguns, for weapons. Just go in the database. Does he have any?
Yeah.
If so, ask for them.
And why? It always takes these types of tragedies And I just wonder how many more. Because I really felt like with Sandy Hook, America was going to get their head on straight, and we were going to make some changes that could impact us all. And yet, here we go.
Okay, now I'm not saying step on anybody's Second Amendment rights. Okay, don't get me
you're
wrong.
killing me with that.
No,
I mean,
hear me out.
know what? We've changed the Constitution based on life's experiences all the time.
Okay, hear me out.
So just give me a break.
That's not what I'm
How
saying.
many people got to die?
Listen,
How many Manchurian candidates do we have to have?
He purchased all of his handguns legally.
So we can
Right.
get our guns taken away.
Right.
Listen, he purchased all of his handguns legally.
Right.
All right?
Mm-hmm.
They didn't belong to his dad, or he didn't steal them, or anything like that. But if you are if you've got mental issues, all right, that's where we need to get healthcare providers, you know,
I mean,
psychiatrists.
there's a flip to that, because if you own guns and you feel like you need to go talk to somebody, and you know now that owning guns and talking to somebody might get your guns taken away, there is going to be a flip. There is going to be a percentage of people that are not going to reach out for help.
And that's not what I'm saying.
I know,
I'm
but
not
I'm just
saying,
he
hey,
might
therapy,
not have
you lose your
reached
guns.
out. Yeah, but he might not have. You know what I mean? There's going to be some kids that are on the fence and don't reach out for help because they don't want their guns taken away. I mean, we are going to have some of that, to deal with as a ramification of making that a mandated thing. But regardless, we can't just keep letting this happen.
Well, we have to do something, and we're going to talk to Lee Rodgers.
That's a shame.
About
I
that.
mean, all those 19 kids died in Sandy Hook. You would think that would be the thing that makes the change. And you know what? Elliot's father's pissed. Pissed.
Yeah, I know. And one of the parents of one of the kids that was killed wants to get together with Elliot's dad. Mm-hmm. Okay.
And they're going to be a force to reckon with.
And he wants to get together and work together. Mm-hmm. He's not mad at Elliot's father. No. Okay.
I mean, anybody that's sound mind knows that it's not the parents' fault unless you have guns in the house that are not locked up. But this was a young man that lived on his own, had guns legally, like you said, and just went off the deep end. And you can't hold the father accountable for that. He reached out to the police. Go check out my son. And what does that mean? A knock on the door? Oh, nobody answered? I'm going? I mean, what is that?
Well, there's a problem with the way the law's set up right now, because those parents of his they would love to have him. Oh, my goodness. Look at this stuff.
I will.
Oh, wow.
Unbelievable.
Forget Jeff.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, Jeff, I'm sorry.
They would have, if it were under their power, have him committed involuntarily. Yeah. His parents wanted to do that, but they can't because they're hamstrung by the way the law is.
Right.
So that needs to be changed. How much of this can we prevent when people actually legitimately see the red flags and we get them put where they need to be to get the help they need?
Well, it's interesting that you say that, because if he would have shown to his therapist that he was a danger to himself or others, he could have been locked up. He could have been put in for at least 72 hours that would have turned to a month. But he didn't use the terminology that would have raised that red flag.
But other people saw it.
Right, but you can't just see it. You can't just...
family members had a bigger hand in being able to make the authorities aware of what they see going on every time. Because, 1 hour every couple of weeks, you can pretty well put your crazy under a hat.
Yeah.
For that long.
But you still have to have some kind of proof. Like when my daughter was a cutter, and until the day... Why do you look like that? You didn't know she was a cutter?
Yes, I do. Yeah, I did.
My life is an open book. I'm not going to criticize somebody else and then not talk about my own junk.
Okay, talk about your
My
junk.
daughter was a cutter, and I used to, do the parent thing. You better stop that cutting. Do everything that, people do, and a little bit more to get her to stop. But one day I came home and she was passed out with that cutting stuff. She had to go in. She was not going to kill herself.
And you 5150'd her?
Yes, I did.
Well, good for you.
Yeah, it was the hardest thing I ever did in my life, but it saved her. And she quit that crap because she didn't like it in there.
Yeah.
I mean, she was in there for, I think it was like 14 days.
I'm just, I think, and I listened to the Santa Barbara sheriff speak, okay, and defend his officers.
I'm sorry, but I'll tell you this. you're walking, I'm not trying to be critical, and I really feel bad about being extra critical. But if my daughter was Elliot and I knew my son had guns, I'd have went and got the guns. I wouldn't have called the police. I would have went and got the guns.
I don't believe the parents knew that he was buying weapons.
Oh, okay. All right, that makes sense.
I don't believe they did.
Because I would have got the guns.
Should have got the car and the steak knives, too.
There's certain things that you can control and certain things you can't.
There was another incident in that same town where a lot of people were killed, and it was another thing with a car.
Right.
Okay, if you're going to be, hold people accountable for being crazy with their guns, let's yank their cars too. Give them a bus pass.
He's out of control.
They can kill with other things just as well as they can kill. They
kill
more people. They hurt more people with the guns or with the car than they did the guns.
I get what he's saying. Okay?
He's missing the point. But you can't. There's certain things that you can control.
You can kill people with a lot of different things.
I understand that, but one thing equates one thing, and a gun equates a murder. Mm-hmm. A car, you're getting around, you're doing other things. That does not mean you're going to kill somebody because you have a driver's license or a car. But you carrying around a gun and not being right in your head means at some point you're going to take your life, someone else's life. You might be careless with it. It's going to mean the end of someone's existence. It doesn't mean I'm going to do extra target shooting.
Crazy means the end of somebody's existence, not the gun.
Oh,
crazy.
There was no way that anybody
So let's not do anything
known.
about it, Jeff?
Is that what I've been saying all morning?
No, I just want to know.
Or have I been talking
I
about
mental
mental health issues?
Okay, good.
Right.
So we're on the same page.
You are.
Okay.
You guys are.
I just wanted to know so that I could.
Right. And again, okay? Again. And I don't believe that you're saying, Angelina, take the Second Amendment and throw it out of the water. Okay? I don't believe that's what you're saying.
We've changed a lot of things in the Constitution.
We have.
So I think she
just
is saying that.
No,
I'm just saying, we can't act like it's not the Bible, the Constitution. It was still made by men making the best choices that they could at the time. But sometimes when it's so many years later, you got to say, hey, you know what? There's different things that are relevant in our life today.
Okay. Here's the thing, okay? Taking guns away from Americans is not going to happen, shouldn't happen. I don't believe it should happen.
No, it's not going to happen.
Rewriting the Second Amendment, I don't believe will ever happen. It's not going to happen, shouldn't happen. But I do believe that you should get the mental health professionals. Nobody would have known. There was no way to know that Elliot Rodgers was going to do this. Mm-hmm. He had purchased the weapons legally, okay? Everything was done correctly. No one knew that this guy was a madman. Nobody had any idea.
No, nobody had no idea.
Okay, but I do think.
Well, yeah.
I know where you're going, Jeff. You're saying, well, wait a minute. His shrink may have had some idea, okay, that he's
and maybe
not
he was
right.
being a little lenient because of who his father was, and I can treat him outpatient. Trust me, I got him. I think I got him. I could treat him outpatient.
His dad was not Barry Levinson. He's not a big-time, huge director.
his father still was. I mean, he co-produced or did something with the Hunger Games.
Yeah, he was the first.
It still gives him some. No, don't play with him now
Okay.
because that's not fair.
Okay, I'm not.
That's not fair.
All right.
Because he still has some clout.
I
Everybody's not 80.
I
you know
get
what
it.
I mean?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
I wouldn't mind being the second assistant director on Hunger Games.
Okay, fine. I take it down.
Yeah, I mean that still carries some weight. It does. It still carries some weight, and he might have tried to deal with him on an outpatient basis, as a favor, I don't want to ruin your son's life.
From listening to them, from listening to the parents, I think they would have done a lot more had the ability to do so within the law. You can document all the red flags. You can keep track of that, and then you can. They need to be able to present that to somebody. So that, they know what's going on with that person better than anybody else can. You can hide the crazy for a little while.
Yeah.
But you're not going to hide it from your family. You're not going to... Oh.
Unbelievable. So it had to be on screen? It had to be on screen.
Now, here's another thing. You know what the LAPD does?
It's on.
Hi, Lee.
Hello.
Hi,
How are
Lee.
you? How are you? Thanks for taking the time to join us this morning.
Absolutely.
Hey, one thing that we were talking about just before you called into the show, obviously we were talking about what happened in Isla Vista, and I haven't had a chance yet to even mention the fact that the day after this happened, okay, Tony Strickland, who's running for a seat in the 25th district, he went out with a robocall, and it was all pro NRA. Okay,
I should have pulled that one.
It was. Okay. He should have pulled that one.
He should have pulled that one. Somebody in his camp should have said, you know what, let's pull this one.
But they didn't. Okay, they dropped the ball.
Yeah.
Okay. Maybe it was more important.
Lee is like, roll it out again.
Maybe it was more important for them to do that, and I don't know. But one thing that Lee, you were on our show about a year and a half ago, right after Sandy Hook happened, and one thing that you brought up was that it's not about stepping on anybody's Second Amendment rights when it comes to gun control, but it is about maybe getting the medical field, the doctors, and mental health professionals involved in gun regulation.
That's right. I mean, look, I'm a gun owner, and I'm also a doctor. I understand how these things work. I don't want to step on anybody's Second Amendment rights. I want to see that there's an individual right to own a firearm, but I just think that individual right ends if you have a criminal background, or if you are mentally ill. And here's the difficulty: is that it's not a single thing that leads to these type of events. It's not just the gun. It's not just the mental illness. It's the combination of both of them. So let's try to intervene at both arms of this, and try to prevent these things from happening in the future. So, and mental illness is it's not like it's not a diagnosis that you carry with you for the rest of your life. It's not, you may be mentally ill for this period, and then you may be fine after that. So it's a very complex issue that requires close attention. I think a lot of intervention, but we have to do something. I think if your answer is do nothing, that's the wrong answer. We have to do something, and we can do something, and that's what we should be doing right now.
Mm-hmm.
I agree 100%.
Absolutely.
And that's, maybe that could help. If that helps 20%, 30%, it's a step in the right direction.
Anybody, yeah.
Because right now we're not moving in any direction.
No.
Okay?
And it's and the lives just keep tallying up. And these are senseless.
Yeah. A real problem that we have, Lee, in Washington is everything becomes a partisan issue. Okay? And that's a real problem.
It is. Because,
you've got people that want to make a change, that want to do something different, but it's just not going to happen. Okay? It's not going to happen in Washington that we have currently. I know you've been saying a lot, Lee, that the problem that we have in Congress is we need to throw out Congress and start with a whole new Congress.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I think, look, you voters in each district only get to send one person to Washington. That's it. So you can't sit there and say, oh, it doesn't make any difference who I send because the rest of the Congress is so screwed up. You can start with your own member of Congress, and if everybody did that, things would be a lot better off. I mean, California, we're better off now because of a couple of things. One is we have the new citizens panel that redrew the lines, so it took it out of the hands of the politicians, and who were just drawing safe districts for either party. Now, I mean, you saw last cycle we had a bunch of inter-party battles for different seats, and we're seeing that again this cycle, and that's great because you can elect more moderate people that are willing to work with one another, and so in California we see that, but in other states where the politicians still control the drawing of the lines and the district makeup, that's why you end up with such crazy people in Congress, because you just have to be crazier than the other guy to beat him in a primary and then get in.
Mm-hmm.
Lee, at the last, there was a debate that you were at, sponsored by the Palmdale Chamber of Commerce about a week ago, and it was interesting because one of the questions was, are you for or against the affordable health care? You're a Democrat, and your reply was, in its current state, I'm against it.
Right. It has to be fixed. I mean, look, I'm a doctor. I see people that have been helped by it, and I also see people that have been hurt by it. And what I want to say, let's keep the parts of it that are helping people, and let's fix the parts of it that are hurting people. That is look, everybody wants that to happen, but nobody is taking any action in Washington. And that was one of the reasons why the LA Times endorsed me. I got a big endorsement from the LA Times because they said, look, in Washington right now, you've got the two parties that are backed up in each corner. One party saying everything is great about the Affordable Care Act. The other party saying it's all awful and it's got to be repealed completely and get, and instead I say these are the things that we can actually do to fix it, and let's do that.
Lee, well, let me ask you something, because I agree with you. There's probably, I think that part of the problem is that it's growing pains. It's something that had great intentions. You have a lot of opposition, so there's going to be a lot of fight to even get the best of the idea out. And despite that, it's rolled out. And it's got bugs in it, like anything that starts out for the first time. But what about the insurance companies and the fact that they just gouge us? I don't understand how come I don't see a bunch of people up in arms about how much gouging the insurance companies are doing on us as individuals. I mean, I really see that this is like the major issue.
Yeah, first, you're right on both accounts. So you're right on the first account that these are growing pains. If you look at a very popular program like Medicare, Medicare gets changed hundreds of times every single year to make it a workable bill. These are living. These documents are living, and they've got to be changed to make them work for new diseases and things that we find out that are wrong with it. So the Affordable Care Act, nothing's happening because both sides are kind of locked up in their corners. It's not getting changed. So that's the first thing. The second part is you're absolutely right. The insurance companies have too much power still. They were heavily involved in authoring the Affordable Care Act, and when you see some of the problems with the Affordable Care Act, like people losing their insurance, that's the insurance companies doing it. I lost my own insurance December 1st. They canceled my policy because it wasn't compliant with all points of the Affordable Care Act, and so I lost.
Yeah.
And that was up to them. It wasn't the Affordable Care Act that canceled my policy. It was the insurance company saying, "Oh, this is a way that we can charge people more money."
Exactly.
Don't look at me like that.
I look at you like that because I've been saying it since the beginning of time, and you keep on thinking that it's just a bad idea.
No,
I think every American needs to be able to go to the doctor and have affordable care.
I agree.
And have competent care.
I agree.
And the problem is not the idea. It's the problem is that the people, there's two sides that are fighting against each other because neither one of them want to be able to say, I came up with this. And, both of them actually want to say, I came up with this and I fixed it. And until somebody can actually get it done, they're going to fight the fight. It's terrible.
Okay. Lee, let me ask you another question. Jobs. That's a real problem. I know that you're for, and correct me if I'm wrong, raising the minimum wage, and it is raising here in California in a month. Jobs is a real issue. The economy throughout the entire 25th District is a problem. Jobs is a problem. Talk to me about that.
Yeah, so first, the minimum wage is something that's going to put more money in the pockets of people who are in the middle class and below. And those people are spending money every day at restaurants, at gas stations, getting their hair cut. That's a stimulus that the government doesn't have to pay for. And 74% of the country supports an increase in the minimum wage, and the majority of people in our district support it. So the representative we send to Washington should support it. Second, I believe the jobs plan, and this is a 10-point, 18-page document that's basically an economic plan for our district. How we're going to increase jobs, get better paying jobs, what industries we should focus on, and also how we should support women business owners, how immigration reform, which is going to be good for our economy. And I have this online. It's actually on my website, LeeRodgersForCongress.com/jobs.
Actually, I've read it. I went through the whole thing. In fact, I gave it to Angelina and Jeff, too. I went through the whole thing. And I get that you want to support more women getting into business. And I hear a lot of people saying it's more difficult for a woman to get into business. I don't know why it is. The loans are the same. Everything is the same. Shoppers are the same. Where's the difference?
It's biology, I think. You have women who are starting a family, and in some cases they're single mothers, so they have an added burden on them. Mm-hmm. And so there are things we can do to support them, like supporting Head Start and PK, so they have more time to get out there and start their own business or get into work. And SBA loans that are available for women-owned business. But the paperwork is really complex. So we need people to help fill out this paperwork and guide them in the right direction.
Well, surely you're not saying we can't understand the paperwork.
No, that's not what he's saying.
I'm saying anybody can fill out the paperwork.
No, I mean, I think that some of the part of the issue with women as far as business owners is that, you know, we're way more emotional than men are, and we take into consideration a lot more than a man traditionally will, and we want to please everybody. So it just makes it a little bit harder for us to get that together. And then when we are tough, then we're being called, you know, the B word because we're cutthroat and, you know, all these things. But those are just stereotypes. I would love to get to the point where you mentioned in your plan equal pay for women. It's just, you know, it's one of those things that I believe a lot of men that own companies don't even realize that they're paying the women that do the same job that a man would do less. It's something that's ingrained. It's like one of those things that I don't want to mention because Steve's going to have a heart attack. But it's one of those things that are just ingrained as a, you know, it's almost like a stereotype racism kind of thing that it's just like, oh, well, it's a woman, I'll pay her this. Not trying to be mean about it, but it's just like one of those automatic things that just goes out there.
Well, why isn't it just a specific title has a specific pay?
Yeah, I don't know.
Can't that be done?
But that's not the case. When you put your application online and you have an idea, I'm going to pay between $100,000 and $75,000 a year, and a woman comes in, I guess you just say, well, I'm going to offer $100,000. And, you know, if a guy comes in, they're automatically, well, $150,000.
Well, let me tell you that there's a couple of things. One, minimum wage is going to help women more than it will help men because 2/3 of people making minimum wage are women, and a lot of people are trying to support their families because the man who previously had been the breadwinner has either taken a pay cut, gotten himself furlough, and so women who previously hadn't worked is going to work, and they find a minimum wage job, and they could be helped by an increased minimum wage. Mm-hmm. Second, I don't know who doesn't support equal pay for women. I mean, and if you listen at some of these debates that are at these forums, all the candidates up there, even the Republicans, say that they support it. But the problem is that they say something, and then you go to Washington, they do something different, because the last time that the Equal Pay for Women Act came up, every single Republican voted against it. Everyone. Mm-hmm. It doesn't make any sense.
No, it doesn't make any sense. But let me ask you a question, Lee. Whether you're making, here in California, if you're making $8 an hour, which is the current minimum wage, or $10 an hour, you can't support a family on $10 an hour.
Yeah, you could support them a lot better than you could with the $8.
We need to get to a point where we have a minimum wage that raises with inflation, so we don't have these big political battles anymore. It's something that's more automatic, and that way we'll keep up with the actual cost of living.
Mm-hmm. We need to get to a point where we've got more jobs, higher paying jobs, mm-hmm. better jobs in California. That's what we the $10 an hour job. Just my opinion.
Yeah.
The $10 an hour job is a stepping stone career job. I mean, it's a job. It's not a career. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah, but everybody doesn't have the mental fortitude to make it up to $25 an hour. Everybody's not carved out for that. Everyone's not carved out to be a doctor a lawyer, a fireman. They should still be able to, because they may still have a work ethic, and they still should be able to make a decent enough living that they can take care of their family.
I understand, but you can't tell everybody at Burger King you're now making $15 an hour.
You can't, but you can at Walmart.
Well,
you can follow Winco's method on how they treat their employees. We can demand large companies to treat people accordingly. We can demand that instead of just watching them buy yacht after yacht, after boat after boat. I mean, that's corporate welfare.
If Lee, let me ask you a question. If you keep raising the minimum wage to a level that people can actually support a family on it, that's going to start to hit the business owner in their pockets as well, though.
Well, that's always the criticism about the minimum wage. I mean, we've raised it 28 times in history. There is a point. There's going to be a threshold where you shouldn't raise it above a certain threshold. But I don't know where that is yet, and it's probably geographically different, right? It's different in California than it is in Iowa. So,
right.
I think that it's more complex of an issue than just setting up federal minimum wage for everybody to abide by.
Yeah, well, with that, I agree. Okay,
Yeah.
But you can't just go to Walmart and say every Walmart in California has to pay your people so
Please,
much
they can afford it. Stop playing. Lee, I'd like to ask you, what about the police and the sheriff departments in California? What's your vision on that, and what would you propose to help get that under control? Because clearly we're out of control.
Well, and I apologize that I get a bunch of my own feedback. You guys aren't getting feedback, are you?
I'm sorry, say it again?
No, but yeah.
Are you hearing any feedback?
A little bit.
Okay, so I take that I'm taking the earpiece out whenever I'm talking, so if I don't hear you interrupt, sorry. So on the federal side, you're talking about federal issues versus state issues versus local issues.
Right.
On the federal side, I can make sure and fight for the fact that people's constitutional rights are not interrupted, and I think that's the biggest thing. Whether it's NSA spying or unreasonable search and seizure, you want somebody that's going to stand up for your constitutional rights, and it's more difficult for federal legislators to get involved on the local issues, the sheriff's department, and all of that, if they really do only affect if they're just local ordinances or state laws.
Right, and
you set the precedents.
Yeah, but where Angelina is going, Angelina has a real problem with the LA County Sheriff's Department. Okay, and a lot of people do.
Angelina.
Just a second, and a lot of people do because of what happened, and it's not just the FBI probe into the jail system, but it's the DOJ probe into the way people, specifically up here in the Lancaster-Palmdale area, albeit Hispanic or African American, had been treated. So she's got an issue with that. But
why don't you have an issue about it? Just because you're not black or Latino, it's happening to people that you care about, people in your community. It should be an issue for everyone.
Okay, I do, but I went to.
Do you hear that, Lee? Angelina has an issue of it because I can't hide. I don't understand.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree with Angelina. Everybody should have
Thank
an issue.
you.
If you're being treated unfairly, or you're being singled out, that's a violation of your constitutional rights, and everybody should have an issue with that.
Thank you.
I agree. And Angelina, I was just trying to, because you didn't explain yourself to Lee well enough, so I was just trying to get it out there.
I think Lee understands me. I think Lee and I speak very much the same language.
Okay. Good. Okay, I'm glad. Hey, Lee, take 30 seconds, because you've got a lot of people listening to you. Before I let you go, take 30 seconds and really, what do you want to say to the voters and the people that are going to be voting on June 3rd?
Well, first, thanks a lot. I really appreciate the time on the radio with you guys. It's always enjoyable for me. I think that we're at a turning point in our country where we need to make the decision on what type of people we're going to send to Washington. And look, I'm a doctor. I have to help people on a daily basis. I interact with people who are rich, people who are poor, people of all ethnicities, people of different education levels. And my job is to help them come to some type of solution for their problem. And that's really what you need in Washington. You need somebody who doesn't care what your background is, but if there's a problem and it can be fixed on the federal level, that's the job of your representative.
Yeah, it's just, in Washington, we've got such a partisan backlog that anytime you want to get anything done, it just comes down to the red team and the blue team, and that's just the way that it is.
Yeah, it is.
Okay, and if you're on the blue team and you don't have enough, it's going to get blocked. It's going to get stopped, and it's going to go nowhere. That's the one problem that we need to fix. That's the biggest problem I see in Washington.
I think that I agree with you, and I think that it starts with election. And if we don't have election reform, campaign finance reform to change how people get in there, then we're going to have a hard time.
Mm-hmm.
I agree 100%. Lee, thanks for taking the time to come on the show. And if I can, I'd love to get you back on June 3rd just for 5 minutes.
Absolutely.
Thanks, Lee.
Thank you.
Thanks a bunch.
Have a great day. Hey, what we should do is we should take a break if we can, Jeff. And Angelina, you know what? I was just trying to convey, because you weren't doing it, okay?
I think he understood me.
Oh, for crying out loud.
I'm saying.
Okay? I was just trying to convey, yeah.
He didn't say, Angelina,
Okay.
I don't understand your question.
I understand, okay? I get it. Yeah, I just thought that maybe I should just help you convey. I have a problem with it, too.
Yeah.
Okay?
Now that Lee told you should.
No, I've said it on this show many times, okay? Golly, okay? Let me know when you're ready for a break, Jeff.
Yeah, I'm waiting.
Okay.
All right, so you're listening to AV Newscast, the #1 news talk radio program in the Antelope Valley. We'll be right back.
Dr. Lee Rodgers.
We need to end the bickering, the partisan politics, and the gridlock in Washington.
Lee Rodgers is a doctor who solves real problems for a living. Lee Rodgers will put Washington to work for middle-class families by closing tax loopholes for Wall Street banks, rebuild our infrastructure, and protect Medicare and Social Security. Lee Rodgers, doing what's right for our families.
I'm Lee Rodgers, and I approve this message.
Paid for by Lee Rodgers for Congress.
Hi, I'm J.D. Kennedy, a Marine Corps veteran with 3 deployments to Iraq, and I'm running for State Assembly. I served as Congressman McKeon's Veteran Affairs Representative, and I'm a member of Operation All the Way Home, board member of the Boys and Girls Club, and I'm the president of LA County Air Show. As your Assemblyman, I'll fight to create jobs in our community and keep criminals off our streets. Our problems can be fixed with simple, common sense answers, but we need new leadership in Sacramento. My name is J.D. Kennedy. I fought for you 3 times in Iraq. Vote for me on June 3rd. Send me to Sacramento. I'll fight for you there. Visit my website, kennedyforassembly.com, and follow me on Facebook.
Hello, I'm Tom Lackey, your experienced conservative candidate for the State Assembly in the Tuesday, June 3rd election. As a retired Highway Patrol Sergeant and Antelope Valley resident since 1996, I served as a school board and city council member for 14 years. As your assembly representative, I'll stand up for our shared values. The record shows I work to solve problems, not create them. With your help on June 3rd, we can break the far-left supermajority in Sacramento and stop the bleeding of our jobs. I'm Tom Lackey, your experienced candidate.
There's a school in Palmdale that's become the talk of the town. It's called the Guidance Charter School, and many parents say it's magical. The Guidance Charter School is WASP accredited, scored 783 in academic performance, and has an educational curriculum that exceeds the state of California standards. The curriculum is enriched through age-appropriate exposure to information technology, arts, foreign language such as Arabic, and physical education. The Guidance Charter School has a winning CIF sports program with soccer, basketball, cross-country, volleyball, swimming, cheerleading, and more. An open enrollment, free tuition school, publicly funded. They've been in business for 12 years and are fully approved by the Palmdale School District. The Guidance Charter School has small classroom environment, 20 students in grades K through 3, 25 students in grades 4 through 8, and no more than 30 students in grades 9 through 12. Call the Guidance Charter School in Palmdale at 661-285-1600. That's the Guidance Charter School in Palmdale at 661-285-1600. And check out their website at thegcs.org. A better high school choice.
Antelope Valley residents, this is Assistant Sheriff James Helmold seeking your vote for sheriff. As a 25-year veteran of the department, I'm not a politician. I'm a crime fighter committed to keeping our neighborhood safe. I will ensure your sheriff's department is responsive to the Antelope Valley, not a one-size-fits-all approach from downtown Los Angeles. Let's also expand community involvement and youth outreach to ensure future success. I'm proud to be endorsed by both mayors and councils, local churches, and community groups. This is your sheriff's department. Please vote James Helmold for sheriff.
This is Palmdale Mayor Jim Ledford, and we have a great opportunity on June 3rd. We will be electing a new congressman for our valley. I served on the Palmdale City Council with Steve Knight, as well as serving with his father, Pete Knight, and I appreciate their service and belief in our community. Steve is a veteran of the U.S. Army, as well as an 18-year veteran of the LAPD, and I have the highest respect for our vet and law enforcement community. Steve has led by action over his tenure in Sacramento, and no one has authored more legislation for our veterans. As the son of a career Marine, I'm thankful for Steve's commitment to our veterans. Please join Mayor Pro Tem Tom Lackey and I in supporting Steve Knight for Congress.
Now into the song and dance.
Welcome back to AVNewsCast.com.
You know, I think that was people trying to call in during Lee's.
Yeah, there's somebody trying to call in.
You know, what was going on. So if you're just tuning in, we had Lee Rodgers, who's running for U.S. House of Representatives in the 25th District. Tomorrow at 8:30, we will have Senator Steve Knight, who is also running on the Republican side for the same seat. And at the top of the hour tomorrow, we will have Kermit Franklin on. Mm-hmm. Okay, he's wanted to come back on the show, and we've invited him back on. So, you know, we'll listen to what he has to say as well, and we'll talk to Steve Knight about the same things that we spoke to Lee Rodgers about. Okay, mm-hmm. I still think it was really distasteful, and it shows a very disconnected campaign when you are Tony Strickland, and the night after what happened in Isla Vista, you roll out a robocall, okay?
Somebody wasn't
saying that you are so pro NRA, so pro gun, okay? Big mistake.
Yeah.
Okay? Tasteless. Really, really big mistake. You know, I don't disagree with Lee or with you, Angelina, when it comes to increasing minimum wage. And I think there should be a ceiling set somewhere. Mm-hmm. But I do think that that the jobs such as, you know, in fast food or what have you, should really be stepping stones to something else.
It absolutely should be.
And as an example, okay, and I know you say, you know, well, people don't have the education or the training or the schooling for this and this. The people that are out working on freeways, on the roads, on whatever it is, those jobs pay good hourly rates.
Yeah.
Okay? Mm-hmm. Good hourly rates.
Yeah, they do.
When it's federal or state or it's Caltrans or whatever, and they're going to do something and they open that up, you know what? That should go toward people that are unemployed that are trying to get a job.
Yeah, it should. But right now it goes towards, hey, the job is opening up, and I'm telling a friend. And most of this is, it's being filled with people that know somebody, as opposed to just going out to the public. Just like with firemen, for instance. Oftentimes you'll hear, you got in because you had a friend that knew that it was opening up, you made a call. You know, it's all about the connections with those kind of great jobs. You know what I mean?
And the city of LA is trying to fix that.
But I also don't think that small businesses can afford, across the board, they can't afford just, increase their minimum wage. But I think that we can easily develop something that if you have 1,000 employees, this is your baseline. If you have 10,000 employees, this is your baseline. It doesn't have to be just straight out the box. Everybody should make $15 an hour, whether you have 4 employees or 5,000 employees. You could do something that's more affordable for the company to be able to deal with.
On a tier.
On a tier.
I don't disagree with that. And when you talk about Walmart, I don't disagree with that. And Walmart in California maybe should be building into their business model here that, hey, we're going into California.
There's
we have to
reasons-
pay much more than we're paying in Iowa, okay?
I
get that.
and not only that, but there's reasons people want to go work for Zappos, and people want to go work for Google, and people want to go work for Winco.
How about Walmart take the empty spaces of the local businesses that they drove in the ground and create a child care for their employees?
I mean, any help.
I mean, that would be that would help. Look at what they wouldn't have to spend on child care. That's money going into their pocket that they can use to support their families.
Anything will offset it.
There's a lot of dead, empty businesses out there.
There sure is. There sure is.
It sounds like you're not too pro Walmart, Jeff.
I'm not crazy about Walmart.
No, I mean, it's so funny because I have family out from New York this weekend, and one of my cousins is like, I want to go to Walmart. And that's because in the 5 boroughs, I think there might be 2 Walmarts. Because the communities refused to have them come in. Refused. So it's like a trip. It's like going to LA to go to Walmart. In the 5 boroughs in New York. Because
they support the small
businesses.
Right.
They support it. So you're taking a family trip to go there, as opposed to you're take 2 rights and you're hitting a Walmart wherever you go.
Right. Well, Walmart brings in huge tax dollars, and we got 1 million Walmarts up here.
Yeah, it's just terrible. It's terrible. But we could easily tear up the wages, make employers. I mean, if you're employing people, we need to have protections for people being able to be able to work a good, regardless if you're making even $8 an hour. It's just it's part of workers' comp. Under workers' comp, there's OSHA guidelines, and you have to treat people under a certain criteria because they're human beings. Well, we should have the same criteria when you talk about their finances. It's just common sense to me.
Okay, all right. I don't dispute a lot of what you're saying. Mm-hmm. I don't. But the guy that owns, I know somebody that has a McDonald's here in the Antelope Valley. Mm-hmm. Okay, several of them. Mm-hmm. One isn't doing so great. Mm-hmm. Okay, and you can't
go out. How can McDonald's not do great?
Because it costs a lot of money to have a McDonald's. Mm-hmm. Because the corporations got their hand in your pocket for everything.
Mm-hmm.
And how about how about a little personal responsibility? If you know that, if you're capable of being a rocket scientist or not. Mm-hmm. How about keeping your pants up and not making a huge family if you know that you're not going to be able to afford?
That's not even all the case. I mean, you could have had a great job, had 2 kids, had a great job, and lost a job. Now you can't find a job.
Is that the case for all?
No, not all, but I'm just saying you can't
the career minimum wage people, how about not having big families?
But all of them don't have big families. Some of them have 1 kid. Some of them have 2 kids.
But that's what we were talking about earlier. I can't support my family on $10 an hour.
Right.
How about keeping your pants
Maybe
up
they're
then?
1 kid. Life gets in the way. Bad things happen to good people all the time. A lot of people live check to check.
I get that. Yeah, they do.
I mean, of course, people should be responsible. I'm not taking that away. But I'm just saying we can't get in the position of saying, okay, well, until you make $100,000 a year, don't have a kid. We can't get in people's lives like that. And they could be making $100,000.
I'm not saying
maybe they had an illness.
I'm saying, how about
life gets in the way?
Manning up and keeping your pants on. Don't impregnate
I'm all for people manning up.
The current CEO and chairman of Walmart started at Walmart on the bottom and worked his way all the way up. In the middle of the morning.
Yeah.
Get rid of those guys.
Yeah.
Okay? Get rid of those guys.
Yeah. But there's so much waste.
Okay? But take people and pay. We've got a lot of guys that are doing community service. They got to pick up trash on the freeway.
Right.
Okay? Because they got in trouble or whatever it is.
Right.
Make that a paying job. People need jobs. Don't look at me like that.
Well, we also need the.
I don't care if you're picking up trash in at the park. People need jobs. Well, you got to get them off the couch, off of welfare, and make them work.
We need penalty jobs too, though. People that get tickets and can't afford to spend, can't afford the ticket. They need penalty jobs.
You get one of those. You get one of those. Community service. Your Honor, I can't afford to pay for this ticket.
Yeah.
You get one.
Yeah.
In a lifetime.
Oh, you mean just as a
it.
gift?
Yeah, that's it. You get one pass.
Ooh, that'd be nice.
Well, see, that's the problem.
These
you can't
tickets
keep
are so
breaking the
much.
law and then saying, hey, I don't want to pay the tab.
Yeah.
All right? You get one pass, and that's it.
That would be good.
You're right, and then that's it.
But we don't live in that world. It's a nice little world, but
that's
we
the
don't live
world,
there.
you know. That's the world. And here in the Antelope Valley, you know, albeit the 36th Assembly District or the 25th Congressional District, it's about jobs. It's about the economy. Yes, health care is an issue, but people are also settling into the fact that by law, by federal law,
And you know, I think that everybody has hopes that that we're going to get on the other side of it. I don't like hearing politicians saying, I'm going to repeal it, because I think you're completely out of touch to the need of the people.
That's the red side and the blue team.
Right.
Okay.
And it is telling you right there, I'm not concerned about what you need, little man. I'm only concerned about my big dollar's pocket. And you're supposed to represent all of us. You're repealing it. I mean, say you're going to fix it. Understand that there's a need. That it was broken and somebody needed to do something by fixing it.
There are a number of Republicans.
But to say I'm going to repeal it, I'm like, oh, scared of you.
Well, you know, just like Lee said, you know, every time raising the minimum wage comes up in Congress, every single Republican votes against it.
Yeah.
Okay?
Because they already got theirs.
And there are a number of Republicans, like a gazillion, almost all of them, that say, hey, if we get a Republican in the White House, we're going to tear the Affordable Care Act apart. Okay? We're going to get rid of that.
Yeah. Because they already got theirs.
And
that's the thing that I don't get, how people don't understand that. It's like there's more middle class people than there is the 1%ers that can afford all this.
Okay.
So I don't get how, you know, I worked in an office that, you know, I had an employee that made less than me considerably. And I'm like, you're a Republican, why? How are they speaking to you? Nothing is speaking to you.
I want to be a 1%er.
I get it. I get that you want to be there. And I understand that, and I have some friends that are 1%ers, but they go towards the side that speak to them, that benefit their needs, and that's what makes sense to me. I get that I want to be a 1%er too, but I think that when I am a 1%er, I'm still going to understand and want to help out everybody, not just guiding my life towards the 1%, and that's the part that I don't get.
Again, I'm not against, I'm going to say, Obamacare.
Yep.
I had to just say it,
well,
just because I feel better now. I'm not against the Affordable Care Act. I'm just against, but it's broken, okay?
Yeah, it's broken. Like anything that's huge that's going to roll out.
And I say they should have made sure that everything was right and that it worked for everybody before they rolled it out.
Even if it was right, the other side, and it could have been Republicans that pulled this out, the Democrats would have done it. The other side would have picked and prodded and made all kinds of speeches on how it's broken. I mean, that's just the nature of politics. Even if it was the best looking package known to man, the other side was gonna say, no, it's horrible, it's horrible, it's horrible. That's just what they do.
Don't roll it out when somebody can come up with a compelling argument as to why it's broken and how it's broken. That's all I'm saying.
Nobody really did, though.
What do you mean?
Nobody came up with a compelling argument on why it's broken.
Lee Rodgers just talked about it.
He said that there's bugs in it. He said there's bugs in it.
It doesn't work for everyone.
And he said that the insurance company is the biggest issue. And that's the part that really bugs me. It's like, if you're going to do Affordable Care Act, you have to attack the insurance companies because they are the number one agency or entity that's in the way of everything being affordable. You know what I mean? It's like you're paying $200 and $300 a month preventative. You're 12 years old. You go to the doctor once a month or once a year, for God's sake. You don't really need that doctor till you hit 40. You already put all this money in it. I mean, just think about it. Last week I had an ear infection. My eardrops cost $160. It was 8 drops in a little bottle.
Did it help?
No, I didn't get them $160.
Oh, there you go.
I forget it.
That's why you were gone for a week.
Well, I mean, $160?
It is. That's the deal.
No, but it shouldn't be. That's what I'm saying. We're all upset about the Dems doing this affordable care. Let's be upset about the real issue. The real issue is that pharmaceutical companies are raping us. Insurance companies are raping us. Stop allowing us to get raped.
Let's look at
Agreed. But a pharmaceutical company,
too.
Pharmaceutical companies, they patent a particular drug. They only have it for 17 years before they lose that patent. They got to make as much money as they can.
Plus, they got sue happy people all over.
Yeah, and I do understand that, but we need to fix that too.
Yes, I'm with you.
We need to fix that. You shouldn't. But granted, if you go in for a knee surgery on the left side and they mess up your right, you got a case.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
But all of that has to be worked out and revamped. It's just sick. When I go to Beverly Hills and I get an arthroscopy on my right knee and it costs me $89,000, and then I go to Sherman Oaks and I get the same arthroscopy and I get a bargain at $23,000, something's wrong.
Agreed. We know that.
But we don't. But we're not screaming. What I'm saying is, we're not screaming to the right entities. We're screaming, saying, "No, I don't want it." But we're not screaming to the entities that are really crippling us.
Those entities write really big checks to keep people.
That's
in
why
office.
the Republican Party are like, "I'm going to repeal it," because you dipping in my man's pocket.
That's part of the problem.
They're putting it into the Democratic Party, too, because, like Dr. Rodgers said, they had a whole lot of input, and it wasn't a Republican Party issue. It was the Democratic Party that was pushing to get this Affordable Health Care Act through, and they allowed the insurance companies to have all that influence.
Because healthcare helped co-author the Affordable Care Act.
Don't just throw it at the Republicans.
Well, no, I'm totally going to throw it always at the Republicans. But, that's me. But I just think that it's all because of the almighty dollar. And, okay, I'm going to let you pass on this, but you're going to let me have this. I mean, it's House of Cards.
Right. If you want a real education, I'll tell you, go take a look at every candidate that's running for office and start looking at everybody that donated to their campaign. It's going to be an eye-opener.
And that should be front and center.
It's going to be an eye-opener. I've done it.
That should be. And, it's so funny because you got to dig a little bit for it, right?
You got to dig a lot of. Okay?
You got to dig.
That's another thing.
And
okay?
that's
the Secretary of State, they should make it so easy. Okay?
Yeah.
They should make it so simple. Okay? But they even have links, and you don't even know it's a link unless you know.
Yeah.
Okay?
It's hidden.
They make it very difficult.
Yeah.
Okay? But it's up there.
Yeah.
You can go to the Secretary of State's website, and you can take a look at it. And that's what you ought to take a look at.
Yeah.
See where it's going. Okay.
Where their butter, bread is butter.
Campaign finance reform is one thing that we need to fix.
Oh my God, yes.
Okay, that we really do. Tomorrow at the top of the hour, we're going to have Kermit Franklin on the show, who's running for the 36th Assembly seat, and then at 8:30 we will have Senator Steve Knight on the show, who's going to be calling in live from the state legislature. Okay, and I'm looking forward to that. Thanks for making us the #1 news talk radio program in the Antelope Valley. We'll be back tomorrow, and have a really great day.
sonic beat.